Welcome and thank you for joining the HKU Virtual Information Day for Undergraduate Admissions. I'm Ryan, I'm your host today, and I'm a Year 2 medical student here at HKU. So for this session, the talk will be divided into two parts. So first we'll focus on the latest programs offered by HKU in the upcoming academic year, and then we'll talk about the admissions requirements and also the criteria. So last but not least, we'll have a Q&A session to address your questions. So you may have questions as we go on, so please send in your questions via the Q&A function in the webinar so that we could answer them in the Q&A session at last. So without further ado, let's begin. So please welcome our speakers today. First, we have our Director of Undergraduate Admissions at HKU, Professor Bennett Yim. We have Mr. Fred Shiu, National Technology Officer at Microsoft Hong Kong. We have Mr. Brian Wang, Director, Marketing Science at Facebook Greater China, and as well as Dr. Ding Chao, Program Director of the Bachelor of Business Administration, Business Analytics at HKU, to share with us the important trend and application of big data, along with the distinguishing features of the latest programs offered by HKU. So please join me to welcome these speakers. So now I'll pass the time to Professor Yim and the rest of the guest speakers.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Welcome, everyone. Hong Kong U is constantly revising and enhancing our undergraduate curriculum so that we can keep them up to date, because we want to train up outstanding leaders for Hong Kong, China, and the world to meet the rapidly changing development in the society. This year, we are rolling out a total of 7 brand new undergraduate programs. 5 of them are related to big data or the digital economy or technology. Well, I think you agree with me that big data and the digitization are the biggest current and future trend. They're also the major direction of our economic development. And because of that, the demand for talent in this area will probably continue to grow. We believe our new program will allow students with different goals, interests, and capability to find what is best for them in preparing them to explore and realize the ample opportunities in the increasingly digitized world. Well, as Ryan just introduced our speaker, and we are certainly very delighted to have Fred and also Brian with us today. They are experienced leaders in multinational corporations, and they are the experts certainly in the use of big data. And they will share with us their valuable insight on big data application, demand for talents, etc. And certainly my colleague, Dr. Ding, will be telling us more about the program that he'll be leading. Now, this day, we often hear about the terms like artificial intelligence, big data, data science, machine learning. But I'm not sure like many people can really tell how these different things, how these different terminology actually are different, and particularly how are they related to each other. So maybe if I can suggest, like maybe we'll ask you to help us to define some of those terms, maybe also tell us like how are they different or how are they related. I don't know whether Fred or Brian want to take the first shot.
Yeah, sure. I mean, AI, I think if you go to do search, you can actually find, a dozen of different definitions. I think, in a nutshell, I think my definition of AI is really like is a computer that can kind of like imitate human like interactions through some sort of like a technology such as the cognitive surface and so on. So it's like a machine can really mimic what a human can do. Like and can actually analyze an image, can really comprehend a speech, or even interact with another human being, and eventually predict a result through some data analytics. And I would say our machine learning could be a subset of AI, and also deep learning, as you heard a lot, like a neural networking, is another subset of machine learning. So that's really a high level of definition, if you like, from my point of view.
Okay, thank you, Fred. Brian?
I think Fred made a very good definition from a technology point of view. Let me give some practice. I experienced something, no matter to talk about machine learning, AI, or big data. So what's the difference between big data versus small data? What's the difference between AI, artificial intelligence versus human intelligence? What's the difference between machine learning versus human learning? The key difference on big data, what I observed, is structured and unstructured. In small data, we come with very logical. We know what data looks like. However, when you go into the future, today or future, a lot of data was just scattering there. This is not structured for you for your own purpose. You have to figure out a way to deal with that. And the second, on the AI, obviously, is something artificial, right? It's not a human. It has strengths. It also has downsides when you watch out. Strengths is computing much faster than human. Downsides is still cannot self-learn and explore. So we need to watch out a little bit there. And machine learning, similarly, machine learning is the upside is learning much faster, learning from mistakes, it can repeat the learning cycle, let's say, in milliseconds. Well, a human need to learn in days. That's the upside of it. But they still need a lot of guidance from human to set the right rule, set the right goal so that it can operate as a train. So this is some practical experience when we deal with those data. A lot of methodology.
Yeah, maybe Dr.
Yeah, I would like to also add from the academic perspective view, because we are designing this data program. So basically for myself, I think that the root of analytics is data. But it's not just individual data, like one person's income, transactions, or travel logs. We're talking about the collective behaviors and activities of a group of people, which we call big data. So with this vast amount of data, what we can do is a lot of opportunities. We can try to explore some relationship from it. We can try to dig out some pattern. We can try to use it to predict for future happenings. We can also use it to learn some strategies and so on. So that's really easy to say all that. But actually to do them, we need to have different methodologies. Okay? So knowing that, what we know about AI, you can think of AI as a toolbox. Inside this toolbox, you can find a lot of methodologies, such as machine learning, deep learning, neural networks, recommendation systems, cluster analysis, and so on. You name it, there's a lot of it. So each of these serves a particular purpose, depending on what data you have and depending on what objective you have in mind. Okay, so don't get intimidated by these fancy terms. They're just different types of data methodologies. But also, of course, do not get too fascinated with these terms. The truth is, they can be challenging at some times. So that's my personal understanding of all those different terms.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, for all the kind of expert opinion, at the same time helping us to get an easier understanding of all these difficult terms. And my kind of if I can conclude, seems like it's like the good old day, input plus tool, get out the output. But this time the input is much different from what we used to. And so Fred, it's kind of remind us that, big data is not just limited to quantitative data or numbers. We can also talking about visuals or other kind of and then Brian mentioned there are a lot of them are unstructured, right? Then that make a big difference. And then Dr. Ding mentioned the important part also is the tool, the method. If you don't have the good tool, then garbage in, garbage out. So I think those are really, really good insight. I'm sure our audience probably also want to know more about how are those method, the big data, the data, the method, how are they being applied these days? Can we get some examples of in a different industry, different field, how they actually are being used?
Yeah, there's a lot, right? Let's talk about Hong Kong, right? I know a lot of audience not really local, but we do have what we call a smart city strategy in Hong Kong. The government just published some strategy, and last year I think through the strategy we had 160 something initiatives. If you look at all these smart cities, I would say projects that our government is implementing, I think almost 80 to 90% of them actually deal with big data, AI, cloud computing. This kind of technology is really infusing any smart city development. So, for example, smart city like today, if we actually go out to let's say get my I would say ID card, right? The entire what we call electronic ID application in Hong Kong is actually using a lot of AI. For example, we can actually scan my ID without really have me to type in my ID card. Okay, read my face as my ID identifications using face recognition technology, this kind of thing. So all of them actually are infused into that project. So smart city application like education, healthcare, constructions, all this smart building, they actually use a lot of data and AI technology to really enable that. So there's tons of examples around this area.
I can also give some real example. We are working with some local government to provide humanity help. So when the volcano erupted in the the island of St. Vincent. So we observed a lot of people moving from own home to some of the remote area, like along another side of the island. Then the government had a problem, how to provide the correct number and quality of shelters to provide immediate support. In other ways, you have to make the phone call one by one, it takes times, but we are partnering with government relief efforts to try to use that population identity map, and we can identify where is the most condensed population that need help, and where that might be less. So they help the government to allocate the right amount of shelter service to help those people in difficulty to come with difficult period. I think this is a pretty tangible, and then because of the data, the government can react much faster, much faster. Yes. So than before. I think this is also a pretty interesting example we have seen in practice.
Actually, I do also want to add a few. This is something I personally teach in my course, given different examples of how big data can add value to business. For example, as a retailer, we can use data to help them better recommend products to consumers, so they're more likely to purchase. For banks, they can streamline their application of loans or credit cards. For logistics companies, they can better plan their shipment. And also want to give one example from the perspective of education, because we're a university. So for university, think about, every year we have this admission cycle running for a month. And for universities, for us, we really have to deploy a lot of resources to get the message to the right parents and children, to their children. And for them, for the students and parents, they also have to spend a lot of effort researching what's the right program, what's the right university. And think about it, it goes on month every year. So if we can have a program which can help the parents and the students accurately predict or what the best major will be for them with likelihood of being admitted to that program, wouldn't that be nice and cool? And for university, when they apply, if we can give them immediate decision, admit or not admit, based on their, say, qualifications, background, past experiences, and so on, wouldn't that also be much more efficient? Well, the application does not stop there. It's endless in every aspect. So that is why big data or data-related jobs are so in increasing demand in these days.
I certainly know who I need to go to next year when we have to enhance our admission process. I mean, the students have a difficulty predicting whether we admit them. Same way for us, we have a difficulty predicting who will show up. So,
exactly.
so I know next year definitely will go to you and get some help on that.
Professor Yama, I'd like to make one more example because it's related to Hong Kong University. That's why I just remember that. I think about last year, a year and a half ago, one of your teams in University of Hong Kong from your startup community, IDAY, they actually submitted a project to Microsoft. We call it a competition called Imagine Cup. Actually, they won the worldwide top prize.
Okay.
And the project, what they did is a mental companion apps that actually help people to actually settle their mental, I will say, illness, if you like. So it's like a chatbot. It can actually talk to the mobile apps and collect some data from you and advise what you need to do to actually kind of cure your mental illness if you have an opportunity with that. So it's really interesting technology. They actually use a lot of big data, AI, machine learning, natural language processing kind of technology to actually put into the project. And they got the award. They got the world grand prize, a lot of money too. Right.
That's great. Yeah. I think allow me maybe to do insert an advertising for IDAY. This is actually a lab that we have at Hong Kong U that help our students who have this great idea to how to kind of turn it into not just an idea but actually a project, and then eventually hopefully we'll get some funding to further develop. So that's very, very exciting, and certainly listening to all that, if I'm a student, I really want to get into this field. But then of course the parents and the student oftentimes will have this question. Eventually I need to look for a job. So what's the job or career prospect of all this big data related study? If I graduate from some of this program, would I guarantee a job? Or so what's the situation right now in Hong Kong as well as overseas? So what's the demand look like?
Yeah, so maybe I can share some perspective. Given I'm lucky in the past few years, able to get a chance to touch with thousands of clients from different industries. Let me share some observation. Of course, I'm a student from Hong Kong. You don't have to worry about job, right? But more like how do you think how you can perform best in your future job? The first observation is that it's also partly driven by COVID. The digital transformation is an unstoppable trend. It covers the traditional industry. Like, let's put it this way: if you are a retailer, right? If you are selling some of the food, the packaged food to the local communities, they are forced to how to get the idea, new product information, even get the product shipped without touching the audience. This is driven by COVID, right? And second, a lot of brands want to listen to a consumer feedback. Previously, they have to bring them in room or bring them counter, talk to them. But nowadays, there's so many digital tools out there. So they collect, interact, and sometimes we call it co-create a brand service together with the people out there. So this obviously on the other side, the traditional brander should move into digital wise. That doesn't mean that all the we call it digital native clients are they doing enough good. Not necessary. So of course, if you think about someone like us, we are sophisticated, we take granted with data, but also all observed that with fierce competition, a lot of even digital native clients are relying more and more data-driven decisions. Let me put one tangible example. A lot of the Hong Kong or the Greater China region, they're doing business not only for this region. With the digital platform, they're able to do the global business. But the trend they're facing is they don't know the consumer out there, what they should offer, how to provide service to them, and how to provide relevant content to them. So previously they have to guess, or they have to hire someone from that country and go into the office. But nowadays, because of digitalization, they're able to get intact or get insight from a lot of data out there, including data from us, to understand, hey, what's the difference consumer preference from Middle East versus US? So they can design the different product and service and provide relevant information to the people, to them. So this I see at both ends. So in my conclusion, the skill on data will becoming even more demanding, rather than it's far away from a saturation point.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I just look at some number. I think some study or paper written by World Economic Forum mentioned in about 10 years' time, there's over 77% of job require digital skill or data analytics skill, and 60% of the job will be replaced by automation too, right? So I think in order to really catch up this, I would say, a knowledge-based economy, I think having digital skill or data analytics skill is important. So we just cannot rely on engineering produced by EE or computer science department in all the university, or even all the graduate add up, we're just not able to fulfill what the market needs. I think having these new programs, find new programs within Hong Kong U in different disciplines, including business school, medical school, or even liberal arts, right? I think it's tremendous. I mean, and the survey actually is before COVID, right? With COVID, I think the digital transformation is accelerating, much faster. And hybrid world, online shopping, online everything, you need more people with data analytics skill. So, and if I think we also have our, one of the companies from Microsoft, LinkedIn, we actually offer what we call economic graph data. So every year look at economic graph data. The high demand, we actually look at how many people hire on different skill set, right? So the most high demand job always in AI, data scientists, machine learning, cloud computing, and you see the growth is really always on the top right hand, right? And the number of people available in the market is not enough. Yeah, that's all my input. So I think having that skill, we definitely need this kind of skill to actually help our economy to grow.
Exciting career prospect.
Yeah, actually, pretty much covered exactly what I want to say. I totally agree. The pandemic definitely has accelerated this digitalization. We're seeing more and more services moving online. And just one thing to add, I think, and also agree with Ryan, I think this trend is irreversible and will continue to hold even after the pandemic. I think from the university perspective, in the past 2 years, we have adopted a few measures to counter this pandemic situation. We have moved things online. And I think the university is already talking about keeping some of these measures even after the pandemic. So that will basically tell you how important digitalization is in the future. And then because of this trend, irreversible trend, much more data will be generated online. And then definitely there will be increasing demand calling for talents who can handle data, who can generate value from data. So I would believe the demand will always be there and also will be increasing in the foreseeable future. That's also my personal opinion.
Wow. So first of all, we have like interesting subject matter, exciting kind of like study, and then we have great like career prospect. And I'm sure the next question some student will be asking is like, I mean, am I qualified? Like, I mean, would this kind of wonderful prospect, wonderful future available for everyone, or they only available for certain kind of students? So I don't know whether our guests can kind of maybe give the student like some insight on is that particular type of student should fit there, or everybody have an opportunity? Yeah.
I love to provide some insight here, given I'm interview hundreds of people in my past few years. Facebook's growing, we're trying to recruit the best talent into the company. Besides whatever the experts here is talking about hard skills, one question I want to put on the table is, what is changing, what is not changed? I think if we look at what happened past 10 years, look for future, what going to be changed? Tooling, methodologies. I believe the industry evolves so fast. Whatever popular 3 years ago no longer hold true 6, 7 years ago later, right? But what I always something holding true regarding the talent, the qualification is two things. No matter what method they're using, the first one is the curiosity. To be transparent, data could be very boring. if you are a person who don't have the curiosity to look into the clouds of data, a lot of boring stuff, figure out something interesting inside, that may be some problem. This is first curiosity. The second is about how you're able to use insight to influence other people. Fred can add more, but in lab company, data scientist is not one of the biggest organization. However, the audience was set up, the data scientists have to be able to influence the key decision makers, CEOs, because they are all smart people. Nowadays, if you look at CEO, they're all smart people. Then how they make a decision if there are different opinions based on data? So I have interviewed many talent who has great skill of data modeling, data mining, but some of them is not able to or don't have the passion to translate them into a audience-friendly influence message, or someone can be. So think about it. Someday, if you are a top data science company, you're sitting beside a CEO and driving some directions. You have two choices. One thing, bring every model from assets put on table, CEO read this. All this is in 3 sentences, you tell what you find, the key insight, and recommend CEO what direction. So you can very easily judge which one will working better to achieve what's your own value. Your own value is not data itself. You only how to bring data out of data and drive actions. So this is top 2 learning what I learned in my personal experience and my interview experience.
Wow. Good insight, good insight.
Yeah, I think data analytics skill is become, I would say, a fundamental skill now, right? So in order for anybody to perform in any job, you definitely need some sort of like data analytics skills. And these kind of skills normally come from the way you actually deal with some documents, some data. Even you're very smart in spreadsheet, right? You play around spreadsheet, and now all these tools from not just Microsoft, anybody, when they offer tools, there's a lot of data analytics built in or plug in. So it's a matter how you're able to use this kind of like plug-in or tools already available for you. So if I look at our organization or any organization, the top performer, most of the time those really understand how to analyze data, especially the management, right? Our CFO have to look at data all the time. She or he has to understand where the data come from, whether the data is real or not real, and also all the data culture. Even our legal people, they have to look at the data. So now, if a lot of data, when Dr. Dane talked about the veracity and the volume of data, so a lot of data become very sensitive data. How you actually deal with this sensitive data? How you deal with this personal data? It requires a lot of skill in almost any discipline. You're a lawyer, you're an accountant, you're management, you're CEO. You have to understand where the data come from, how to match the data, and how to deal with the data. So it's become, I would say, anybody need to understand that, right?
Yeah, actually, I also agree. Basically, there is some definition of data analytics. As Brian has just mentioned, it's about turning data into insights and then use that insights to help businesses make better decisions. So that means data analytics is not for everyone. If you're not interested, if you do not have a curiosity in data analytics and obtaining insights. So depending on the nature of job or depending on the specific domain, the qualifications or qualities required may be different. That is why for us, we're offering 5 different programs. You may find some of one fit your needs, right? And also, as I mentioned, this demand will always be there. So it's right now, I think it's a good time to get in this field. And then I believe if you want to get into one of this program, you should have some shared value. That is, you believe that data is the next big thing. If you have that belief, then one of these data programs will be fit for you. That's my suggestion.
Wow, thank you so much. I really want to continue our discussion, but I think because of the time limitation, I want to thank our speaker for all your sharing, and I think certainly I hope everybody get a much better understanding about all these terms related to big data, and also feel excited about the demands for talents in the field. And I kind of also because I've been spending some time reading our description of our big data related program, and I feel that all our program actually quite relevant to what we have discussed. So allow me maybe now to take up a little bit time to give a very quick introduction about our 5 program. And then here, because Dr. Ding will be here, so I think when it comes to the specific program that he managed, I'll pass the time to him to talk more about that program. So as you can see, basically we have 5 new programs. The first one is the Bachelor of Engineering in Data Science and Engineering. And you can consider this more of kind of the foundation, building the foundation for big data, because in this program you'll be learning about construction management of big data, and also of course all these different tools that you will need to use to analyze the big data. And so this program particularly also training people to enter some of the new and exciting career path or research area in data science and also data engineering, such as data engineer, data architect, data scientist, data analyst, machine learning engineer, all kinds of new job that is available in the market. And interestingly, I'm going to jump to the last one on the screen. It's the Bachelor of Arts, because earlier we also, I think Fred particularly pointed out, it's the big data related study. It's not just only for data oriented student. In fact, for students who are even in the humanities, if they're interested in culture and arts, there are a lot for them to participate in this kind of development of big data and digital technology. As we can see in the arts field, we have the crypto arts this day. We have many of those culture and arts that are moving in the same direction in digitization. And this particular program obviously is trying to combine the talent in both culture, arts, humanity, as well as digital technology. So those of the students who are interested in arts, but also want to kind of get a ride on this digitization trend, obviously this will be a program that you should spend some time looking at. And then there's also the Bachelor of Science in Bioinformatics. And certainly this couple of days, I think if you actually pay attention to our talk or advertising or even some of the news press release, this program have received a lot of attention in the media, partly because it's related to medicine. But according to the program director who joined us previously on talking about this program, this program, the focus is on more statistics. How do you apply big data analysis statistics on biomedical and healthcare data? And everybody knows this day healthcare is a big issue affecting a lot of people in the world. And those big data analysis will obviously help address many of the problems that we are facing. That allow me to maybe also like briefly talk about this Bachelor of Science in Marketing, Analytics, and Technology. And in the business school, we have two programs. One is this Marketing, Analytics, and Technology, and the other one is the program managed by Dr. Ding, which is focused on business analytics. Both programs obviously will talk about application of big data, all this method, but the domain seems to be different.
Yep.
I think in the first one, the focus is more on marketing. So it's probably more suitable for students who already decide marketing is going to be the career they want to explore. While for business analytics, maybe you have a general management kind of focus. So I can understand time is running out, so I'm going to pass it to Dr. Ding to share with you more information about the business analytics.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction, and also for offering me this opportunity to basically introduce to the audience the program that I'm leading right now. So this Bachelor of Business Administration, Business Analytics, is rebuilt from the ground up. Students admitted will be starting their journey here at HKU by taking some of the foundation courses, such as programming language, database management, and statistics. And then starting from their junior or senior years, they are going to take courses from two lists based on their interest. List A are courses relating to the data the methodologies that we mentioned earlier, such as machine learning, deep learning, recommendation, natural language processing, clustering, and so on. And List B are basically courses relating to management applications, business applications. And these courses are visualization of data, project management, and so on. So basically, students can take based on their interest. So our hope is to basically train well-rounded data talents who can adapt in the business world. And then later on, they can basically specialize in one or two domains along the way. Okay, so basically, for graduates, we expect you guys to get into a job related to information management, business intelligence, data consulting, and so on. So there are many possibilities. So for me, for you guys, if you're excited about solving problems and generating value through the lens of data, and you aim to develop a career in analytics, then BA will be a perfect program for you. And later today at 4 p.m., I'm going to give a talk, more detail of this program, also online. So feel free to jump in our online conversation in about 2 hours' time. So that's my introduction. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ding. Again, because of the time limit, I would refer you to visit our program virtual booth and also speak with professors such as Dr. Ding if you're interested in any of the program. And I'm grateful for all our guests speaker today. We learned a lot. Certainly great insight provided to our potential student. And if I'm 30 years younger, I certainly will jump into this industry that all of you are talking about. It's definitely very exciting. Yeah, thank you so much.
I'm Edwin.
I'm Vanessa.
And we are from the Hong Kong U Admission Office. So please continue to send us questions through the Q&A function at the webinar. So the collected questions will be answered in our Q&A session at the end. So Vanessa, other than the 5 programs that Professor Bennett Yim has mentioned before the big data video, Hong Kong is also launching 2 additional professional programs. Can you please share a bit with the audience about that?
Sure. So the first program is the Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Laws. This is a 5-year double degree program which nurtures students in both scientific and legal knowledge in the STEM-driven society. So the program equips students with cross-disciplinary knowledge to manage issues like in the areas of intellectual property, patents, animal and environmental law. So the second program is Bachelor of Psychology. This is a standalone program from the psychology major originally under the Bachelor of Social Sciences. Both science and art students are suitable to study this program. This is a program which prepares and paves students a way for their future professional training in applied aspects of psychology like clinical psychology or educational psychology. So students may also acquire advanced research training in areas like cognitive science and neuroscience. So I'll pass the time to Edwin to talk about like admissions of HKU. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vanessa. So on the screen, you will see a QR code. So meanwhile, you can scan or screen cap this QR code, the slide, to access to our latest admission brochure of JUPAS 2022. So besides of scanning this QR code, you can also visit our JUPAS admissions virtual booth today. At the same time, you can also access to our admission website, and this document is also available on our website. Okay, so back to the Hong Kong admission updates. So the first thing and the most important update is that starting from this year, the result of the M1, M2 mathematics extended part, which is called, just now I mentioned, M1, M2, will be recognized as equivalent to that of a full elective in fulfilling the university entrance requirement, on the condition that one of the elective subjects must be a senior secondary subject, which is what we normally call category A subject. Okay? In other words, so the latest Hong Kong admission requirements of HKDSE candidates the following year will be as follows. Okay, so you can see from the screen. So you in summary, so you can see from the screen, you will have to attain level 3 in both English language and also Chinese language, level 2 in mathematics and liberal studies. And for the elective part, so the first elective, you will have to acquire a level 3 in first senior secondary school senior elective subject category A. And for the second elective, you will have 3 choices. So for the first choice will be a second category A senior secondary elective subject, or you can fulfill it with M1 or M2 mathematics extended part in level 3. Or the third choice will be if you have attained or level E or grade E in other language subject, category C in your HKDSE, you can also use the result to fulfill the university entrance requirement. Okay, so following the recognition of M1 and M2 of the university entrance requirement this year, so as you can see from the screen, we have 3 programs from Faculty of Science have changed to consider 6 subjects to 5 subjects, including 3 programs. One of them is the Bachelor of Arts and Sciences in Applied AI. Second one will be Bachelor of Science in Actuarial Science. And the third one will be a Science Master Class, which is also a new program the previous year. Okay. So to increase the transparency of the score calculation, the admission score announced this year is based on a program-specific scoring formula combined with the subject weightings and Hong Kong scoring system. So in which, if you got a level 1 to 4 in HKDSE exam, it will be converted into 1 to 4 points respectively. Level 5 will be converted into 5.5. Level 5 star will be converted into 7. And level 5 double stars will be converted into 8.5. Okay, so our e-brochures already includes each program scoring formula from previous year and the corresponding admission score for your convenience. If you did not scan the QR code or forgot to scan it just now, do remember to visit our booth again. And also you can visit our admission websites to download the brochure for yourself as a reference. So just like every year, Hong Kong U will continue to provide scholarship to support outstanding students. Last year, we have launched the HKDSE Top 1% Scholarship to reward outstanding HKDSE students. So for your information, a total of 115 students were eligible for this scholarship in the HKDSE last year. And they came from programs not limited to programs like medicine or law, but also some programs like Bachelor of Arts and Sciences, BASC, Bachelor of Arts in Architectural Studies, and Engineering, etc. So for the coming year, Hong Kong U will also continue to offer this HKDSE Top 1% Scholarship for those who have achieved the top 1% in the HKDSE and also met the university entrance requirement, as I mentioned just now, and also admitted to Hong Kong U, the most important thing, right? So without any extra application by the students. And one-off amount of at least 50,000 Hong Kong dollars will be awarded to each student. So maybe I will ask Vanessa to, okay, so I think this is around about most likely the Q&A, the admission updates of today. So, so now we'll move on to the Q&A session. So, okay. So we noticed that there are some technical issue of the first. Okay.
I think some students already asking like
The expected score.
expected
Oh,
scores
yes.
in the webinar. So I'll talk briefly on like what is meant by expected score,
Oh, sure.
so that students will know what exactly we look for. So expected score is basically the lowest score that a particular program will consider in their merit order list. So for each program, the university will base on the merit order list of the previous year and the number of application of this year to draw an estimation on the expected score for students' reference. So since the interest of the students and also like the number of application varies every year, so expected score can only serve as a reference for students but cannot guarantee admissions to a certain program. So students are reminded to weight both their interest and also their ability in choosing their JUPAS choice.
So as mentioned by Vanessa, so do pay attention and stay tuned to our website to see the expected score for the next year program and for next year admission cycle. Okay, so I guess it's more or less the admission updates for this year. That's the focus, and we will move on to the Q&A session today. Okay, so students, parents or teachers, if you have any further questions, you can still type your question in the webinar, and we will try our best to answer as many as possible. So for the first question, it asks about the M1, M2 requirement of the new programs. So, so I will answer it first. Okay, so two new programs out of those big data oriented program. Two programs require M1, M2. So first is the BA, Bachelor of Engineering in Data Science and Engineering, and the second one will be the Bachelor of Science in Marketing, Analytics and Technology. Okay, so perhaps next question, please. Okay, next question is about the interview. So do all new programs require interview? So the answer is yes. All new programs mentioned just now this year will select candidates for interview, which will be in a group interview format. So to maximize the chance of being invited to the interview, so do remember to put the program in the JUPAS Band 8 in order to receive the invitation. So maybe next question.
So students who should be non-Chinese speaking students, I take IGCSE Chinese and got an level 8. So what score will be the result be converted to? So basically for students taking IGCSE Chinese, if you got an 8 to 9, it will be converted to a score of 7 in the Hong Kong U scoring calculation, which is the highest scores for alternative Chinese. So if, for your information as well, if you got like a level 7, it will be converted to a score of 6.5.
So will I still have a chance for admission to Hong Kong U if I fail to reach the university entrance requirement, which we call 33233 just now? Perhaps Vanessa can also answer this one.
So every year, Hong Kong U receives some applications who failed the university and entrance requirement, but then students also got very good outstanding results, and we consider them case by case. So for this year, if you're slightly fall short or, for one subject but with outstanding results in others, we will also consider. And I think we're also thinking about like some policies on this flexible arrangement for students. So stay tuned to our details and also our latest updates on the website.
Next question is also about the interview. So when will the interview schedule be released? It's actually on our admission website. So the website will be hku.hk/DSE. So you can browse around our website to find the admission schedule of different programs.
So besides the interview schedule, I think we also want to mention like all the new programs, all the program entrance requirements are all uploaded on our website. So if you want to refer to all these details, please go to our website and take a look.
Yes. Okay. Next question. Some students ask, will these seminars or webinars be available for replay? So yes. After today, for the next week, we will try our best to gather all the recordings of today's different faculty talks and mission talks or student sharing session. And for the next week, we'll try our best to upload back to the system and for you or for students who have missed today's info day to see the playback. And the playback will last for the coming month. Okay. So next one about admission scores. What is the admission score of Bachelor of Psychology?
So since this is a new program and it really, just now I already mentioned like for expected score, it depends on the interest of students and also the number of applications. So it really depends on this year's status. But we have an estimation of the expected score that will be like 27. So it can be like an indicator for you to apply for this program.
Okay, next one. Is the program weightings already included in the admission score? The answer is yes. Just now in our slides, we have mentioned we have the admission brochure already shown you the formula and also the admission score last year. And the admission score you found in the brochure already taken account into the scoring system I mentioned, and also individual programs weighting. So some of them will have weighting, some of them do not. So note that these information is also is only reference to the 2021, which is the previous year program scoring formula. So for the next year, the expected score release around before the release of HKDSE 2022 will be based on the next year's program scoring formula. Some of the program will update their formula as well. So please stay tuned. So next question is BBA-BA, which is the new program mentioned by Professor Bennett Yim just now, the same as BBA-IS last year? Yes. Okay, the answer is also yes or no, because the program is a restructured program. So the JUPAS code is the same, but the content and some courses and different opportunities in the program may be different. So if you're interested, so we have the program faculty talk of this BBA-BA new program, restructured program at 4 p.m. So please stay tuned and access to the webinar of that program. Okay. Okay.
So students also ask about like exchange programs. Actually, we have a session on students who will share their exchange experiences at 3:30. So please stay tuned to that sharing session. It will be in Cantonese.
To add on, we also have a student sharing session at should be 4:30, mentioning about the internship opportunities by also our student helpers, which is in English. So if you're interested, you can also access to the webinar later. Okay,
so is the GCSE result conversion for every program the same? Yes and no, because for those who accept this IGCSE result, it will be a yes. But some of the programs, they have specifically requirement on Chinese language, so it will be a no for that. Please take note of this.
Okay, any other questions submitted? Okay, so another question regarding the new program. So may I ask what is the expected estimated score for the new program for the Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Laws? So we have an expected score again because we do not have a concrete admission score because this is a new program next year. Our expected score will be 49.5. 49.5.
So just now, I think there are some technical problems that what I've mentioned about psychology and also science and law cannot be heard. So maybe I can just tell you a little bit more about these two programs so that the students know about all these new programs. Like for science and law is a 5-year double degree programs which equip students with both scientific and legal knowledge for the society. And a lot of students will after taking the courses, they will manage to learn more about intellectual properties, patent, animal and environmental law. So this is the gist of the program. And of course, if you want to know more about these double degree programs, you need to refer to the session or also the booth to ask about they have more opportunities, exposures, for the program. And for psychology, so is actually we have psychology as our major in our Bachelor of Social Sciences. But then this year we have this standalone Bachelor of Psychology from the originally major so that it can be a fit to both arts and science students. And one of the strengths of this program is that students can pave their way for a strong professional training in clinical psychology and also educational psychology. And also they can really equip with more research foundations and training so that they can work in fields like neuroscience and also cognitive science.
Which is also discipline offered in the Faculty of Social Sciences before and now. Okay, so I guess we do not have any further questions in the webinar. So probably this is the end will be of our JUPAS admission talk English session. So if you have any other questions, so feel free to visit our JUPAS, or if you are interested in also non-JUPAS or other international qualifications, admission information, so do grab the chance of the remaining hours to visit our different faculty booth and also admission booth. So I think that's the end, and hope you enjoy the remaining day of Information Day. Thank you.
Thank you.